Okay, just checking. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Personal Flash Paper, an Infinity podcast with focus towards a new player, hobby, all around cool stuff.
Like the community?
Yeah, that's us. And actually, I don't know how much new player. We do a lot of focus on the hobby, I realized the last couple times we listened to it, so I don't know.
Yeah, we are that kind of hobby community thing.
So, yeah. Well, I'm your host, Ryan.
And I'm that baker kid, Rob.
All right, Rob. Here we are. 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Yeah, it's kind of like we've started a new year, turned over a new leaf, budgeting in this deep freeze that is currently Kansas City.
Yep, we but actually I don't really think we complain because if you look up north, it's cold.
Our friends to the north in Minnesota and or Canada. Oh, yeah. It's chilly.
All right, Rob. So, what are you drinking tonight?
So I am starting off the night with a little bit of coffee and Irish cream.
Oh, nice. I am having a nice glass of water because I don't feel great right now. So I was like, I'm not gonna have a drink right now.
Oh, you poor thing. That tears at my heartstrings knowing that you are just drinking water.
Yeah. Well, however, my wife and I were in Franklin, Tennessee, and did do some distillery tours over the weekend, and so I do have 2 bottles of straight out of the tap distilled whiskey.
Is it a tap?
Sure, why not?
Yeah, we'll go with it.
I mean, it depends on it is because I saw their bottling, so technically it is just like a tap, like you would have a draft beer how they bottle it. But
okay, that's fair. That's fair. I'll go with that.
Yeah, but maybe tomorrow on Valentine's Day.
Oh, there you go. There you go. So, with respect to the community, we have talked about upcoming events. We had Bob Fletcher send us some wonderful patches. We talked about Adepticon. We had Raj on the show talking about Mission Critical. And I got a surprise for you. What do you think the surprise is?
Oh, is it something about the Gateway Gauntlet? Because that's the one you did mention that we did talk about.
Nope, it is not about the Gateway Gauntlet because I think subliminally I have burned that wonderful event out of my mind so that I don't tempt myself to accidentally even suggest it to my wife of our anniversary weekend.
Yeah, I'm waiting till after spring break because my wife and I had a really good trip last weekend, just the two of us. Then
there you go.
On spring break, and so then maybe I'll try to pull that one in later. All right,
just slide it in there.
What's your surprise, Rob? What's your surprise? What's in the box?
I don't know if you. I don't know what's in the box. I don't know if you have paid any attention to the WGC and Infinity Forum. But there was a special event that was announced by James Pittman. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No. I do watch the WGC, but so many posts go on there, I missed some things, but I didn't see it.
So, James Pittman, War Corps of the Orlando, Florida area, runs an event annually. And this event that I am talking about is Dogfinity.
Oh, yeah, there it is. I just pulled it up just now. Dogfinity 2020 registration is live.
And we're registered, buddy.
We are?
That's right. PFP is registered.
Oh, what are we registered as?
Meet Popsicle?
So that's the 23rd, right?
Of May, yeah.
Yeah. That's Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah, I'm not going to be able to go, and I doubt you are either. But we're registered.
Yeah, that kills me. Oh, damn! I would love to do that, but no.
Well, yeah, and I would love to.
Memorial Day and Labor Day kill me every time. I can't.
Oh yeah, and there's no way that I'm going to be able.
Leprechaun.
Yep. And there's no way that I'm going to be able to swing, going on a trip and going on another trip and then going on another trip. That ain't just going to happen. But
It's too bad because I really dig the idea behind that one, and that's the charity event is the animal rescue, which is where I got both of my dogs, animal rescue.
Yep.
So I really do like this, like the idea of that one.
Oh, totally, totally. And before we got the mutants, we had a rescue cat that Julie, got from, the animal clinic that she works at. And, we had that. It lived for 19 years. 19 years as a rescue cat. That is amazing. When James Pittman dropped that information nugget on the WGC and Infinity forum on Facebook, he and I started chatting because in the blurb, if you cannot attend, you can still register. And you can pay the entry fee, and and all those proceeds are going to go to the dog shelters and dog rescue that he works with. And we started chatting, and I was like, dude, this is perfect timing, because if you can get me a blurb, Ryan and I can talk about it on the cast. And so James typed up something, and I am going to read verbatim what it is. Dogfinity is a Dire States charity tournament in its 3rd year. Every year, we pick a dog rescue that is doing great work in the community, and we donate all the proceeds of the event to that rescue. They've raised over $6,500 in 2 years for 2 very deserving rescues. Last year, they had 38 players and a total of 77 donors from 5 different countries. This year, we are taking the event to the next level, moving to a brewery. This opens up an opportunity to invite non-gamers too. Something cool we started with year 1 was the ability to sign up for the event even if you can't attend. After the event, we will mail out the swag bag to all the donors so that they get the shirt, patch, and other swag, plus be able to participate in the charity. Hey, you know what's cool? I got us 2 patches.
Oh, patches!
Patches!
They say we don't need no stinking badges, but we definitely need some stinking patches.
Stinking patches. Stinking patches. So, that was the surprise. And, for those of you that are just tuning in for the first time, Ryan and I work together. And this morning, Ryan comes into the office, and he starts chatting, and we're talking. And I was like, oh, dude, for tonight's cast, I've got a surprise. And, dude, the shock and horror on your face as I was like, I got a surprise. You're just like, oh, shit. I don't know what this is.
Well, yeah, but because it could be, about the people I work with or the people that report to me. So it could have been not one of the fun surprises, but oh, hey, I got a surprise. We got these extra projects.
Yeah, but I did say it was for the cast. I didn't say it was work related. And I was, I thought I was in a happy mood. Maybe I'm not.
Yeah, whatever.
No, so if you are out there, and I will put show notes, or I will put a link in the show notes that I will add to the publishing of this cast for Dogfinity 2020. If you got any questions, you can reach out to me, send something to Ryan, hit us up on the Gmail account, which we'll talk about at the very end part of the cast, if you've got questions or comments, and I can get you in contact with James. It's a very cool event. The patch last year was absolutely stunning. It was like the cyborg type dog. And that's when I first heard of Dogfinity. It was one of our local guys, Max, was talking about it, and he actually, donated last year. And Max doesn't get a chance to play a lot because his work schedule is all sorts of crazy. But I'm super stoked that we can contribute to the community in such a positive manner.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, I've always liked it when events do a little charity thing with like a raffle or something like that. Maybe we should send something down there.
Yeah, we can totally do that.
Yeah, all right, let's think about that.
Yeah. All right, so if you've got an event that you want to, have us pimp out on the cast, send us a message, get a hold of us, and we'll definitely do that. We'll open up those lines of communication for you, and you can get your event some free publicity.
Yep, we'll spill it out there for you if you need us to.
Okay, so Ryan, what have you been working on in the hobby?
It's the Ikari. And we recorded 2 weeks ago, and I said what I needed to get done. Just so you know, I have finished them. All of the Ikari that I was going to do is done.
You finished all of them?
All of the ones that I plan to do for the 2 lists that I have at the time.
So what I'm hearing is you're currently done with the 2 lists, but knowing you're going to mess around with some of the lists. and then the next thing you know, you're going to be painting something.
Rob, please do not jump ahead of the story.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Proceed.
So I no sooner finished the last of the models, which, by the way, is not been posted because I'm going to enter it in the MayaCast thing. So I have not done it.
The master
on
class.
the website. Yeah. So I've no sooner finished it, had it all done, go to bed, and like I said, I typically have a little iPad mini that I sit there and kind of play with lists and look at stuff. And I had an idea, and I'm like, I wonder. And I have actually thrown together 2 additional tactical window lists. One of which I think I have everything painted for, maybe missing 1 or 2 things. But the other one, I need to do paint Yojimbo. And I have Yojimbo, and he is primed and ready to go. But so I'm not completely done. However, I have switched. That'll be later on the block. I have switched, and I'm doing a couple different things right now. I am cleaning and assembling the O12 that I'm going to paint to give away at Mission Critical. I also, and this kind of blends into the community piece, we have 6 tables of terrain at our local game store. We have 6 tubs that we keep at the store that are free to anybody that wants to use them at the store. And I actually pulled them all today and have them home. And I'm actually going through them, and I'm just kind of mixing them up a little bit. Getting rid of some stuff. I'm doing a little bit of repairs, and I'm going to replace it and we'll have 4 pieces of terrain up there. 2 of them I think are done on what's going to put in there. I'm going to paint a couple pieces, but I think I kind of tried to theme the boxes. So we have one that's kind of a normal city type scape. I have another one that uses a bunch of the battle system stuff and some other pesco barriers are made, and it's more of my slums, and then I've got the other 2 to kind of figure out based on what's left. But in doing so, I was down in my basement, and I have so many of the little buildings, the paper buildings that come in the 2-player starter packs. You would not believe how many of those I have. I have so many of those buildings. It's really kind of funny. And I was like, these are all the ones we were using. And then I opened up another thing, and I'm like, here's all the ones that have been sitting in my basement that are assembled. And then here's like 6 packages that aren't even assembled. So I was like,
yeah,
wow,
I know.
That's a lot of stuff.
So there, for the longest time here in the Kansas City area, we were collecting the boxes that the box sets come in order to add some weight to those paper buildings that Ryan's talking about. And I've got so many people asking me for those boxes because I've just been, sitting on them as I go through various builds of hobby stuff, because they make such good miniature shipping containers. And I'm like, nope, we got to hold on to these, because sooner or later the paper terrain that we use at the shop that we go to is going to be destroyed, and we're going to need to be, rebuilding them. So, nope, you can't have these mailing boxes. Nope, you can't have these mailing boxes. So, I've got some boxes for you, Ryan, whenever you want to redo the paper terrain.
Well, see, that's the thing is, I'm actually going away. 2 of the boxes don't have any of those in them. And then the other 2 boxes, I think I'm going to cut a bunch of those up and kind of glue and stack them so we have some that are multi-height on there, I think is one of the things I'm going to do.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Nice. So
what's on your desk?
So one of the things that's on my desk, or one of the things that I want to bring up in this episode, is a question that Spencer Clark asked on the Facebook group. And it was from one of the hashtag Flash Paper Fridays that, we've been doing for a long, long time. And the picture is of me with some of my Drews on the paint desk with the 2 air filters. And Spencer Clark asked the question, is that a giant spray booth? And the short answer, Spencer, is yes, it is kind of a giant spray booth, but it is only a spray booth for airbrush only. And I built this out of 3 bathroom fans, ventilation fans that you can buy at Home Depot. And I wired them into the desk and then built the desk in my basement with the wired switch with the idea that I'm going to airbrush down there, and I don't want the overspray and the particulate matter floating everywhere and getting all throughout the house. So since it is not necessarily an aerosol rattle can that is going to stink up the house with noxic fumes, I do not have it vented outside. I've just got it vented into a negative space in the wall. That is the desk, and now currently on the desk is 30 some odd models that range primarily for Hakkaslam, but I think there's one HVT from the Dire Foes Hazmat model because I love that model. And then Authorized Bounty Hunter, Yan Yan, and Cordelia, I think, rounds out the 30 that is non-Hakkaslam. So I am painting furiously for either Mission Critical, which is kind of in the sights, or something down the road, but just, mixing it up from the Ariadne Aleph stuff that I've already painted.
Nice.
So yeah, join in on the Facebook group and tell us what you're working on the Flash Paper Fridays. And if you've got questions, hit us up. We'll be more than happy to talk about it either on a cast or on the Facebook group. And we can talk about it until your heart's content. So that kind of wraps up the community section of this episode. So let's take a small little musical interlude and come back with games we played. And we're back after those dulcet tunes. All right, Ryan, so have you played any games this week? Because microbiology tutoring took me out from my weekly game.
Nice. So I didn't play any games last week, but I did get a game in last night, which normally we have 4 to 8 people there on a given Wednesday night. But last night or yesterday, we had snow pretty much all day, so there were just 2 of us there. So I played Clayton. He was playing Shazvasti. I was playing one of my tactical window lists for Ikari, and we were playing Acquisition. I'm doing some thinking kind of about how I approach things. I keep forgetting that I want to kind of time my setup and all of that. Clayton had Sheshkin in a 3-man, and then he had a camo token, and then he had 3 other models on the table when he deployed, right? So he was showing 7. I deployed mine. His reserve was a Speculo, and my reserve was the Daiokai, and I just basically ended up counter deploying because he was basically on one corner and I was on the other corner, turtled up because I just needed him to burn orders to get to me. He ended up going, he set up first, then I set up, and he went first. Now, I won the roll, and I had him set up first. And in hindsight, as I'm thinking about it, because he and I were discussing a little bit about, I don't think I've gone first with the Ikari in a little while, and then I thought about it, I was like, nope, I did, like 3 weeks ago. I think against Shazvasti, me going first is more vital because I know more than likely there'll be a Speculo, right? And I need to get rid of it soon. It didn't do a ton of damage. That wasn't really the issue. I had to weather too many other storms and not expose my back to it, taking out everything. But the real issue was Sheskin went through, came up on the side, and killed everything she shot at. Now, I don't think Sheskin's overpowered right now based on that, but Red Fury rolling like 5 dice, damage 14, shock, right? Because she has fatality. So the part that was the bummer is like, he would, hit something that had, multiple wounds or whatever, and he'd just take all the wounds or do like. But it was literally I didn't win any of the rolls. I actually had a helper bot that was sitting right there that I tried to dodge to engage like 3 times just to tie her up, and he never succeeded. And meanwhile, he's just killing the dudes he's shooting at,
Just try to slow it down.
Yeah, which was a forward observer bot, 2 Rushis, the Daiokai. Let's see. I think that was it. He then did the Cadmus, the thing that drops in, and it dropped in we actually had to look it up because it was kind of funny because he rolled a 3 for his drop in, and I actually had a hacker, so I, tried to hack transport, and I rolled a 3, and we both looked at each other and we're like, oh, what what happens? And it's clear that the hack transport has to win, so I didn't win, so he lands, but it
Yep.
was just kind of funny because we were both kind of like, oh, all right. He was a killer hacker. It landed in front of another one of my helper bots, and I, quickly identified it, which made the discover roll. But the piece that's interesting is it was a killer hacker, right? And he's right next to my regular hacker. So he goes to hack me. I reveal my ninja killer hacker, and nothing happens to his. We push on the killer hacker, or we both miss on my killer hacker versus his killer hacker. But he dropped my regular hacker. So literally, like, I started my first turn with 4 regular orders in each of my order pools. And that's a 9 and a 6 order list. That I did have 2 Yan-Yans, one in each pool that came in. So what that tells you is I had 5 dudes in each, which means I lost 4 dudes in my first order pool and 1 dude in my second order pool. And then it never got really any better for that. I literally ran some stuff out. My hacker or my engineer went up and tried to heal a bunch of the Rushis and move things around. I literally ran the Rushis out and opened a couple times, trying to pull out the still unforeseen model, which I knew there was a Noctifer for missile launcher somewhere. So I was just trying to pull it out and try to get position on Sheshkin, which never really worked.
Now, why do you think it didn't really work? Because
he didn't need to reveal the Noctifer. It was obvious that's what I was doing. He was in such a good spot because I don't think he had lost anything. He'd lost the Cadmus and the Speculo, but he was in control of the board. I was at this point I was really just kind of pushing and just trying to do something. Right, there's not. So, but kind of one of the things that as I think about the game afterwards, there's probably a couple different things I should have done. Like, it ended, I had to move my Tonko missile launcher to try to take care of Sheshkin, and he revealed the Noctifer that time, which I just split my dice to 1-1. He actually ended up winning the face-to-face with my missile launcher, so it took out my Tonko and the doctor who was right next to him because it got caught in the blast. But at that point, I didn't have any other choices. I wasn't going to be able to move people up. It actually got to turn 3. I had 3 models left. I was in retreat, and I did not have enough orders. I wasn't going to be able to do anything to stop it from being a 10-0 or 10-1, really, because I still had my liaison officer, but we didn't even really do that piece.
Go that
far.
Matter.
Yeah, it didn't really matter. So what I thought about, though, is like, it was a game where you could easily I could have just, I can't do anything, let's just call it. But we didn't. I played out my game because, in my mind is, sure, it took us an hour and a half, maybe. Yeah, maybe to play that game, maybe 2 hours. And you got to think, 30 some odd minutes of that was set up. So,
right.
That's kind of a moralizing game, right? And like, how do you stay in the game at that point? Which is kind of what I like to do, is like to think about, how do you keep engaged in a game where you're obviously losing, nothing goes your way. And part of it is I'm like, if you step back from what is going on, and by I say that, I mean, in your real life, you do this game or you're in this hobby to play a game. It should be a outlet for relaxation, for a separation from reality. It should be used as an outlet like that. Now, I know some people don't. I think some people do take it probably more serious than it really needs to be. But okay. But, for me, that's not what I want to do here, which is why I will sometimes take random weird lists that probably won't work, just are silly,
Well, and I think you bring up a good point in terms of entertainment, right? There's the break from reality, which I wholeheartedly agree with, but there's also an entertainment value. I think we lose sight, or a lot of us lose sight, because of our competitive nature of just being human, the way that we are, ultra competitive, whatever. And the idea of playing a game, well, why do you play the game? You play the game to win. No, you really don't. You should be playing the game with the idea of having fun. And Ryan, I think you're hitting the nail on the head, but from a different angle. It's more, in my mind, of, are you entertained? And if you are being entertained, if you are getting that break from reality that we desperately need, then I think that that's actually how we should look at it. We should look at it from the point of view of not winning and losing, but I am not doing this crappy thing, this chore. I am not being tasked to, do this work. And while, it is work, it is a labor of love to paint the models, to play the game, to, rebuild the terrain, to, put on a podcast. It's something that we do because we love the idea of what this hobby brings to us. And I'm over the moon with talking about this because I think that I am not a good player. I like to think that I can be a good player, but in my game against Andrew Johnson in the Columbia tournament, my plan was solid. Andrew and I talked about it after the game, and he's like, dude, dice rolls just weren't going your way. And I'm like, that's the way the cookie crumbles, my friend. And I don't think that I lost the engagement of my mind saying, hey, you're still in this game to have a good time. You're still in this game to give Andrew a challenge. You're still in this game to, play it to the very end. Win, lose, or draw, you're still in it.
Yeah, and even, there's definitely times like, you're not in it, right? Like there's really nothing I can do.
There's no chance that I was going to win that game in any way, shape, or form. But my point is more, I'm still in this game to play it.
Yeah, and so that's where I was, when I started thinking about it, I was like, I'm still just playing a game. I'd rather finish it out. There is something to be said, like if it's early on and like everything goes your way, and you're like, okay, well, I haven't even gone once yet, and I have 2 models left. There's something to be said about re-racking and going at that point.
Oh, you mean like when you alpha strike your opponent, and almost annihilate him to a man with, what was that, a Fugazi bot or a Pathfinder bot or something? What was that? Do you remember that game? Because I'm pretty sure you remember that game.
The Fugazi is a flash pulse bot, so that would be really impressive if you were on it.
It was something you did. I was just like,
it was more than likely probably was that the Ikari game we played at the office?
No. I'm talking about the one that we played at tabletop where I literally set up and you did an alpha strike. You came up on my left flank, your right flank, and it was literally, I'm going to shoot that guy and I'm going to kill him. I'm going to shoot that guy and I'm going to kill him. I'm going to shoot that guy and I'm going to kill him. I'm going to flamethrower that guy and I'm going to kill those 3. And now I'm deep into your backside.
Yeah, I don't remember. It's possible. There's been a couple times where I've had like games where you roll up and like, and that's why I really can't be too mad at the dice, because I'm like, and like, for example, like my engineer tried to heal Rushi and failed on my whip 13, 14, something like that.
Yep.
13, I think it is. I re-rolled and failed again. And then I'm like, well, I can't spend another one. So then I went over. He tried to do it again with another one, failed. I spent it to re-rolled, failed, spent another command token, re-rolled, and finally succeeded. So he failed a lot, right? And my doctor tried to heal my my hacker that was laying right next to him and failed, and that hacker did not have a cube, so I couldn't re-roll that one. So it's like,
yep.
Literally, like, nothing I can do about this. And I can't be mad at the doctor because it had gotten the Tonko missile launcher up multiple times in previous games to continue its reign of terror. So
yep.
You're like,
in the last game that I played, which was actually the quasi demo game for Dana against Mike Moran, that was exactly what happened to him. Is he went over with his trauma doc to heal one of his Bagmari units. And was like, fail. Well, that guy's got a cube. I'm going to spend a command token. Fail. Well, that guy's still got a cube. I'm going to spend a command token. And I think he burned 3 out of the 4 of his command tokens. And that's, I right, wrong, or indifferent, I took that as a moral win, even though it was completely dice rolls.
Yep, that'll happen. It's one thing you're just like, some days, and like Clayton was even like, "Do you want to borrow my dice?" And I'm like, "No," because if I switch the dice, then they will lose faith in me, just as I have lost faith in them. so, so he and I were just kind of laughing about that, but it was just one of those things that I found humorous. I took the dual Rushi list because he was playing Shazvasti, and in reality, my other list probably would have been better. Because I was prepared for all like a bunch of camo things. I was prepared for the TO, Noctifer missile launcher. I just didn't ever have the opportunity to utilize the tools I had, and I was even turtled up pretty well. So, oh well. I mean, that is what it is. I think if you're out there playing and you get frustrated, depending on your opponent, hopefully you've got a good group where you're at and you're playing. Hopefully you and your opponent, maybe you could just even say, "Hey man, give me a second. Let me gather myself." Say to yourself, "This is just a game. We are playing just for fun." And then maybe even at that point, you and your opponent can just actually start having a conversation about other things. And maybe they see something you don't like. Hey, I was thinking, you've obviously got this game, so I'm just going to talk out some maneuvers here out loud, and let me know if you see something that I might not be thinking of, because his perspective or your opponent's perspective, because I guess it's gonna be a girl too, is gonna be different than yours, right? They're gonna look at the table from a different angle, which also helps because I actually missed several AROs because I got frustrated, and not really frustrated, but I was like, and I was like, oh yeah, that guy would have had an ARO there, that guy would have had an ARO there, and I just spaced them.
Well, and I think you bring up a really good psychological point. Now, granted, I'm not a psychologist, even though I have stayed at a Holiday Inn Express at times. But when things aren't going your way, you do tend to be like, "Well, shit, whatever." You lose sight of the objective of having fun, but at the same time, you're losing the objective nature of playing the game to its fullest, because you're just like, man, nothing is going right. I'm not in my game anymore. I'm no longer in the zone. And in my opinion, you see that from not only these sorts of tabletop games, but you see it throughout, sports. You see it throughout the day-to-day thing that, we all do, and that when somebody's having an off day. And, there's times that you can talk to the person. There's times that, you'll see a coach on the sideline, getting into the player's mind, or, getting into their ear and chirping at them, being like, "You've got this. You've got this. I believe in you. You need to believe in yourself." Which, it's funny you had that kind of pep talk, that faith relationship with your dice. I can't give up on my dice. My dice will see it as a weakness that I don't believe in them anymore.
Yeah, well, it's funny because several people have seen my dice bag, and I have all of the dice they've made that come out in the 2-player boxes, or the 300
the sectorial
boxes, and all of that stuff. So I don't have the ones where it was the buy standalone dice. I didn't do that. I also have 2 from the last ITS and 2 from this ITS, and I literally just randomly grab out of there every time. To the point, I've had multiple people say something about it like that. They're like, that drives them nuts. They're like, how were you just using? I just randomly grab them. And
that's funny.
Even if I'm, I'm not gonna grab. Okay, here's 3 white dice. I just grab 3 dice and I just roll them. That has really become my little dice thing. I'm like, yeah, no, I'm just going to randomly grab dice out of there and hope those dice decide to work for me today, and we'll just see what goes on, and maybe things will work out. But it's just, it's those little humorous moments that you can pull out that I think really, to me, make me check myself and be like, this is just a game. You are playing with little metal pieces formed into figures of sci-fi fictional characters.
Metal war Barbies, man. Metal war Barbies.
Yep. So I think that's where it gets hairy, right? People taking it too seriously, not remembering the reason why they probably started this. If you started playing Infinity to make a career out of it, or get rich and famous, or I don't know, whatever, right? Good luck, but maybe revisit your plans, because I don't think that's going to work out for you.
Well, I think we've all got different reasons for playing the games, right? From what you were telling me, and the last time that I was at the shop on a Wednesday night, there was a couple, 3 or 4 people playing 30K, and that's not a game that is widely supported in this area, and they were having fun. And I still contend that that's the whole reason why we play games, is to have fun. It's the break from reality. It's the I'm going to go blow off some steam. I can't necessarily do violent acts against people, so I'm going to make believe that I'm doing violent acts as a special operative commander 170 some odd years in the future.
Yep. We're playing make believe, and that's really one of the things that I think is pretty cool about this, is it does give you an escape. And I mean, I do that. Like, even when I'm painting, my mind is drifting, right? And I'm kind of focusing on the model and thinking about what the world looks like they're in. I do that a lot as I'm building tables. I kind of start developing what this planet or this spaceport or this city is that they're fighting in, and why would they got there. I mean, I have several tables in my head rolling around that I'm just trying to figure out, if I ever get the time, that's what I want to do. My goal is to I have a commission table to make for somebody else for AOS, and I want to finish one of the other tables that I have, and then my idea is maybe just kind of bounce back and forth between army at the table, army table. But I get like ideas for tables all the time. Where I'm driving along, I'll see something and I'll just start developing a story behind it. Like, how could you turn that into a table? Oh, what would that look like? What could be the reason? How can you make pieces that would fit and theme that table?
I think one of the best stories that comes to mind when you talk about, you're driving along and you see a site was after last year's Mission Critical. It was, me and you, Raj, and the other guys from Kansas City that drove up with us. And we pulled up to the chicken tenders place, and we all got out of the car, and you and I, because we're in the front, we looked at that massive, I don't know what it was, ironworks plant or, slag metal recycling thing. And we both were like, oh yeah, that's a hell of an infinity train table. It was this massive industrial complex, and it had, different places that could have been HESCO barriers or some sort of barricade and concrete, and the colors were all, rusty and industrial and gray, and it was fantastic to look upon.
Yep, I mean, and that's exactly what I do, and because I do remember that, and it's some industrial plant. Also, like, I was driving to Arizona on spring break last year, and there's a bunch of just like what used to be an old gas station, and then like a couple trailers just kind of out in the desert somewhere where the road used to go, right? The old Route 666 or something along those lines. I developed an entire idea for a table in my head, literally just based on those. So literally was making some mesas, making some rocky outcroppings, making a couple trailer type pieces and like an old gas station, and then, some other like holding tanks and just all things like that, in my head. And then so far that the point even got to the story, I was like, I'll make some barbed wire fences, put some basically looks like metal signs on them, and that would be blocking terrain. And then I was going to do some sci-fi pieces in there. And then my idea would be the reason they're fighting over this abandoned gas station is because it's not. It's basically the entrance to an underground layer of, such and such. For example, if you've ever seen, was it Wolverine? Was it just called Wolverine, the last one they did where he dies?
You mean Logan?
Yes, Logan. Yeah, at the very beginning of Logan, when they are in that gas station, and it's him and X, right? Because that's where they're kind of.
And Caliban. Yep.
That's the idea that kind of popped in my head. There's something going on in here, and they're hiding out in this, and so it's really not what it appears to be.
Yeah, I've got an idea of a terrain table in my head that is a abandoned settlement that is like an old mining colony that has gone bust, and there has been some sort of diplomatic shuttle that has crashed, and escape pods have been jettisoned, and the information that is contained in those, jettisoned escape pods from the diplomatic shuttle is the reason why people are there. and it just happens to be this old, rundown, abandoned mining thing. So I found some scrap piles that I'm going to 3D print to add to this. I've got the escape pods already printed. I just need a full-time lottery ticket to hit me in the mouth. That would just be that massive Powerball winning, so that I could have all the time that I need to do all this stuff.
Yeah,
you got one of those laying around?
I have an old lottery ticket laying around. Yes.
Is it a winner though? That's what I need.
No. So as you were talking, I literally went through and made some TikTok. I have 6 tables. I have 6 table ideas that I've been kicking around. I have the idea for. I may even have pieces for. That does not include the 2 tables that I actually currently use, or the 6 tubs that I pulled from our store. So if you go in my basement right now, I could actually run a tournament for 16 because I have 8 unpainted. I could do 20. I could do a tournament for 20 in my basement right now.
A tournament for 20 is not going to fit in your basement. Just saying.
But I'm just table-wise.
Table-wise, gotcha.
Of terrain. So, yeah. Actually probably 22 because there's enough of that one.
And you bring up a really good point in terms of tournament. I don't remember. I was looking through WGC Infinity, and somebody was getting ready to prep for a tournament. It was a tournament prep for either Rumble or Adepticon or a local event, and they were showing the tournament tables that they were prepping on, and I was like, oh, those are sparse. If I could just land an Ekdroimoy with an HMG right there, or if I walk him on the board right there, and I was just, oh, wow. And it made me think of, how different metas, different communities around the country, around the world, play the game differently in terms of how they set up the terrain in order to block line of sight or have fire lanes or, any number of things. And the fact that you've got enough terrain for 22 tables in your house right now speaks to the amount of terrain that you've actually got.
Yep, it's a lot. By the way, I thought of another table that I hadn't put out there yet. So there's another one that I've got. So I have 7 table ideas. 1, 2, 3 of those are actually fairly far along.
Is one of those the dock?
Yes, one of those is the dock, the shipping dock. The other is the wilderness table, and then the other is the Mandalorian table, the Tatooine or whatever desert interior exterior table. So, yep.
Nice.
Yeah. All right, so to kind of come back around here, I think part of this, is really don't get frustrated. You're going to get a little frustrated, obviously, but just kind of take a step back, take a breather, step back up, think about what it is you want to do, and then just try to accomplish small goals. So you're not going to win the mission, but maybe it's okay. I'm going to take out that piece. I've got this model that I don't use very much, so I'm just going to feed all the orders to him and just see what they can do, right? Or just something to kind of keep into it. The other thing that I kind of look at is, at this point, when I get to this point, I look at it, I'm like, okay, how are my order groups set up? Are models in the right order group? Should things be moved around? If they were moved around, would that help me? Would that have given me something else? So I just try to think about other design issues. Or was there something like, okay, well, I have that model left. I can't do anything with it, so why is that model in this list in the first place if it's not able to do anything?
With that being said, Ryan, in your game against Clayton, where he decimated, order groups equally from the way that you described the game, he, annihilated half of each or over half of each and left you with not enough of the parts and pieces in a specific order group. Did you have the ability to look at that game and look at the pieces and parts that Clayton was able to annihilate and go back to the drawing board in your mind of, well, this didn't work. Did this piece do its job the way that I wanted it to? Would another piece have been more suited to doing the job that I could transfer or remove from this list and substitute back in with another piece?
Actually, no, because this is the first time that list has done that poorly. I've been playing
Okay.
this list for a while, just this iteration of it, and it typically does what I wanted to do. So to me, this was like, well, this is the anomaly of the happy thing to happen, and nothing I can do about that type of stuff, right?
Yep.
So,
Yep.
really overly concerned at that point. I was just like, that's just the way it happens sometimes. So
This
I
is
did
just the
not.
way that one cookie crumbled on you.
Yeah, I mean, originally this list was not laid out the way I have it now, and there was several games where I was like, I just did not have the right pieces and the right order groups to spin orders on them, and I have a bunch of orders from this, but I need to spin them all on both of these pieces, and I can't do that. So before I'd actually split Rushis up into two different order groups, and then I found out that doesn't work the way I really want it to, because typically what I'll do is I'll run one of the Rushi till it actually dies, and then the next turn I'll run the other one up. So I don't need both of those spinning orders, because in the other order group I'm moving, Doctor Engineer around, or the Total Reaction Bot, or I even spend a bunch of orders on the Yan Yan that comes in on that group to get smoke around and be more of a harassment piece.
No, that's fair. That's fair.
So.
Because I know when I have had games that did not go very well, and I had the opportunity to talk to my opponent and ask them, what did you see? What was your point of view in the way that I set up, the way that I did this thing? And while it is painful, or can be painful, depending on how poorly or how successful or almost successful it would have been, I get a lot of information. I get a lot of feedback from that is really positive. And I think that helps with the overall gameplay, the overall, ability to have fun, because I'm in the game, I'm breaking reality, I'm having fun, and I am not thinking about work, I'm not thinking about life, I am just in the moment playing this game, and it's awesome.
Yep. All right. So I think kind of what we're saying is, just try to do something different with it. Try to see what you can learn from it, and then wipe the slate, start again, keep your head in the game. Just kind of like
keep
hanging in there.
There's one list that I've been playing since the Columbia tournament in Columbia, Missouri, and I know one of its flaws. One of its flaws is that it does not have a long range weapon. It doesn't have a sniper rifle, doesn't have a missile launcher, it just has a heavy rocket launcher. I need to go back into Infinity Army on the website or on the app and fix that. But I haven't had the time, or when I'm thinking about it, I don't have the ability to actually, like if I'm in a meeting, I don't have the ability to just pull out my phone and start messing around on Infinity, Army. And when I'm at home and I have the time, well, I've got other things that are going on, and it's slipping my mind until, oh shit, tonight's game night, and I need to fix that thing. I need to add an Agema, missile launcher or something. Frustrating.
Yep, it does. It can be frustrating. So, all right, probably enough of that. We'll just move on to something else.
Yeah, let's move on.
Rob and I are trying to do this every 2 weeks. You guys got something, a question, something you're thinking about, want us to kind of mill over. We may start going back to making a couple of lists, talking about the new stuff that comes out. We're kind of in a lull right now, Infinity news wise, because everybody's waiting for Code 1 to come out. So we'll kind of see what that does, really.
Yep. And that's going to drop at Adepticon. And Defiance, the Pledge Manager, goes live February 18th. So That's exciting.
Yep. That is cool. It'll be neat. I'm excited to see what happens out of there. But
I am too.
Yep. Trying to think of what else I was going to say there. I lost my train of thought, which is
that train got derailed.
Yeah, not uncommon. I don't know. I got it. Nope, got nothing. Can't think of what I was going to say.
Okay, well, why don't you close us out, Ryan?
All right. Well, this has been Rob and Ryan, Personal Flash Paper. The Facebook group's always the best way to get a hold of us or stay connected with the community. Personal Flash Paper on Facebook. Our email address is really long. It's personalflashpaperinfinity@gmail. However, it's not anymore. That will still get you to us.
What?
Still get you to us, but I actually made a new one that is literally pfpinfinity@gmail.com. So it's a little shorter there. It is linked to my phone also, so I'll get those. So if typing out Personal Flash Paper Infinity it was too much for you, you could do pfpinfinity@gmail.com and get to us. Also, reach out, let us know what you want us to talk about. Rob and I are going to work on trying to figure out how we want to really format these, what it is we want to really focus on, how we want to address stuff. So we're going to be doing those type of things over the next couple episodes. So look for us to maybe shift things in and out, but we'll see what works, what does best.
Yeah, tell us what you want us to keep doing. Tell us what you want us to stop doing. Give us some feedback. Because as Ryan and I both learned at the tournament in Columbia, people listen to this. And it's not just people in the Kansas City area. It was very odd to, look up and the opponent's like, do you have a podcast? And I was humbled. I was really humbled by that. And we hadn't put any shows out or casts out in a while. And people were like, yeah, are you guys still casting? So, yeah, we want your feedback. We definitely want to hear from you. We want you guys to be, as part of this as much as we are.
Yep. We'll keep doing it. Until you guys literally just stop listening to us altogether.
Which probably won't happen. Because there's going to be somebody out there.
Some weirdo out there. Probably that tip sword guy.
Yeah. We can always count on him. And those guys from Minnesota and Wisconsin.
Yep.
And Florida. And Virginia. We're taking over the country.
All the weirdos.
Weirdos. All right.
All right.
Well, remember, dice are fickle bitches.
All right. Have a good night, everybody.
Background music. Flying species. The yellow flying cog. The use of these human works of music is granted under the current Creative Commons license terms and agreements. From the freemusicarchive.org from the artists as listed. Thank you.
It is Valentine's Day.
Tomorrow.
Well, yeah. It's still Valentine's Day tomorrow.
Yep. All right, so we start this bitch.